starting.
Starting where? YouTube?
Yep, live.
Don't mind the home alterations. The laptop's still backed up? Or?
We got like 17 seconds, 15 seconds.
Okay.
A few seconds will go up.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Merry Christmas, and we had some good sound effects for you, but drill today, and as you got to hear, anybody's here already. But anyhow, yes, up here with Jerry. Jerry sounds a little busy. He's a little busy over there. You can see he's drilling around. But anyhow, yeah, Merry Christmas. But tonight's show, I think, will be interesting. I think we'll talk a little bit about trolls at first, okay? I'm sure anybody that's done video or knows anything about YouTube that knows that when you tell the truth online, you get attacked for telling the truth. You get prosecuted, you get slammed, dunked, and called names and attacked, especially when somebody's hiding truth that they don't want you finding out about. And somebody's telling the public about it, then they get furious and they come after you. So that's what we're talking about a little bit tonight. I found it to be an interesting topic, and I've been here before, and Jerry can tell you his experiences. Jerry's here, so I might as well say hi, Jerry.
Well, hello, Bill.
Don't want to think I'm here by myself.
Yeah, I'm being quiet for a second here. I'm just doing a little thing, you know, when I'm on the internet here, straightening it out. And let's see. But yeah, trolls, you know. I like the troll effect. I get a lot of the troll effect. You know, where they drive the people I want, you know, the people that are awake and actually care about doing something towards me because they can see through the troll shit. So it's like they, like you said in the past, they always have like this reverse weird, you know, thing.
Well, they do.
You know,
what? The troll sets out to make you look like the bad guy. Sets out to make it look like you're the one that's nuts. You're the one that's messed up. And this is what their intentions are: is to piss you off and make everybody around believe that you're a nutcase, that you're evil, that you're twisted, you're sick. They might make you out to be a pedophile. They might make you out to be a rapist. They can make you out to be a murderer. They'll make you out to be a villain in society's eyes. And then they push you all over the internet. And then people come along that see the stuff that they're saying and say, oh, how sick. This creep. Now go check out the creep. And then they'll say, wait a minute. This guy's pretty good. He's right. That freaking fool that sent me here's a moron.
well, yeah, you know what? The show's got to figure out. You know, I mean, when somebody, you know, hold on. Yeah, Jason Boss is a good. Nothing. Well, I might as well say it now. You know, Jason Boss is a very smart man. You know, I'm gonna just say that much. He's not an idiot. He can see through the bullshit, and you know, he held back. You know, when he had mountains and mountains and mountains, and literally just so many ridiculous amounts of pages of stuff he could have just used, and he held back on the good stuff and was able to use his brain. And you know, it's funny. I think some of these people figured out that we knew more about them than they knew about us. is what I think I just saw. Because it looks like some of these people just all of a sudden disappeared. Bill, isn't that kind of funny that they just disappeared?
Well, that normally is what happens when you nail them to a wall. Then they get scared that you might bring their real name up.
Oh yeah, I think that's what they're a little bit worried about.
You
You know
know,
what? They probably, and to be honest with you, they should have been worried.
you know, we have these people that's been,
Damn it! Don't run away yet. Let me really screw you.
I'm going to give these people some examples of what I've been through, and then we'll go into what Jerry's been through, so you know why we're talking about this. You already know we're in a very sick world, okay? But you have some people that are really messed up, and they will spend their time trolling. Now you think it's normal thing to have to troll, so what? Well, but if you're speaking truth and you got a channel up on YouTube and somebody took the time to down, let's say you have 500 videos, and let's say somebody took the time to download all 500 of your videos and numbered them and put them in a folder, and then took the time to duplicate your channel to a T, and then they keep a track of your channel. If you add a video before they get done, they'll download it and put a number on it. And then they will start uploading your videos like mad. Left and right, and get them all in the exact order that they are on your page. Now, they look like they're you because their page is designed exactly like yours. All of the videos are of you, and they're in the exact order of your page. All of the favorites are the same favorites you have. So now they've duplicated you. Now they're going to go around to all of your friends and contacts and people who sub to you, and they're going to slam that person. They're going to make trouble. They're going to call that person names. They're going to say this person's nuts. They're going to do all kinds of stuff to the people who sub to you to piss them off at you. And then they're going to laugh when these people are mad at you because they know what they just done to you.
Yeah, but that never works. It always works the opposite way. Anytime I've ever had anything like that, it always works the opposite way. The last person that slammed me, I ended up with like so many new people. I'm like, how did I meet all these people? It's just from one idiot slamming me.
That's it.
And it has a reverse effect.
Well, sometimes it does work.
Sometimes
but the thing is even when it does work, they only get 2 or 3 people mad at you, and they don't stay mad at you because pretty soon they figure out that it's not you by the stuff that's being typed, the stuff that's being said, because you're out of character. Because these people are, they're mentally sick. You think about it. If I was to duplicate somebody's channel and they had 500 videos, it might take me 2 weeks to set that damn thing up before I could start leaving comments. That means you're sitting there all day long, every day, focusing all your attention on this one person just so you can try to destroy their work and what they're doing, and you're going to spend all them hours and hours and hours. Well, unfortunately, you think nobody would do that? Oh, yes, they would. I know a person by the name of Dwayne Holloway who would do that. He sure would. And Jerry, I had a troll follow me for 6, 7 years. Matter of fact, he was in this radio show once. He goes by the screen name of Rubber Wilbur.
The guy that I pissed all off.
Yeah, the guy that got all mad at Jerry that night and come up in here cussing about how, Jerry called in. Once Jerry called in, his time was over. Well, that's the guy who followed me and trolled me for a good 7 years straight. He wouldn't leave me alone, didn't matter what I did. He went through all kinds of extremes. I mean extremes. Yeah. Well, Jerry's experienced this himself ever since he brought up that school we're not supposed to talk about. Okay.
I call them the Sandy Hookers now because they prostitute themselves for our tax dollars by selling just about anything, their souls, their morals, their anything. It's sick. It's sick that we had crisis actors. It's sick that we had people that plan this. It's sick that we have people and these organizations that are still being paid to protect the lie. And like me and Bill were saying, these people are probably making anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a year, full benefits, pension, all this stuff for trolling. Think of that. Think about that, people. Your tax dollars literally were spent on me being trolled. And not only that, the people that made donations to the Sandy hoax bullshit that the Sandy hookers put on, they took your money to combat people like me for wanting the truth. They stole so many people's money. They did all these, and they're continuing to think about the people that we found that are tied to the military that are doing some of this trolling. And
That's correct.
they're getting paid money, tax money, to troll people. Think about that. Troll people that want the truth.
Work it out. You got George Soros. What do you hire? What, 1,000 people? Or was that 10,000?
10,000 people supposedly. Who knows? I mean, we never get the truth on anything. But we can see what they did. They basically, sideswiped YouTube and ruined it from a place where you can learn and gain knowledge to, top 10, wardrobe fails. That's what they want you to watch. They don't want you to learn anything. They don't want you to gain knowledge. They don't want you to gain the real stuff. They want you to gain the knowledge that they're going to feed you through their bullshit government shills. And, they don't want you to, better yourself. They want you to, who did the stupidest stunt trick with their car. They want your brain so dumbed down that you aren't concerned about what the real truth is and who we are as a civilization when we got to this point, because we didn't pay enough attention and pass down our own history enough so that the truth would be here at the present. And we need to start, stepping up to the plate and not just, telling the truth, but preserving it.
It does.
Because we don't preserve the truth, what we know as true now today is going to go right back to the lie that they were telling in the first place. So it's not just that we have to tell the truth. We have to, make sure that, what's really happening is out there. We have to find ways that we can preserve it, So that's a super important thing that I'm concerned about now. And, me and Bill have talked about maybe finding different ways that we can preserve the truth for the future, because the problem with, the reason we are here today is because we don't even know our correct history, because we didn't preserve that there's so much potential for so much wrongdoings in government and everything else in certain ways to happen, that we need to make sure to set procedures for those things to not happen. And that was, we the people's mistake by not finding the ways in the past to preserve the real history correctly and allowing the peoples that were the elite, that the secret societies, the wealthy, to write our history. Because I'm at the point now where I've read so many history and read so many different things. Do we even know what the hell was true that happened yesterday? Never mind, 1,000 years ago.
Well, yeah. It's pretty
They've
bad.
really fucked us.
It's pretty bad, but the trolls are. What Jerry said is correct. You have crisis actors involved in false flags. You have military involved in false flags. You have feds, law enforcement, governors, mayors, congressmen, FBI. Okay, all these people are involved in these false flags. And when you start exposing a false flag, if you get close to the truth, especially the ones who made a lot of money, they're going to come after you. And one of their ways of coming after you is by trolling you. Other ways is by sending viruses into your computer. They have a lot of ways that they'll come after you, and if you get too deeply close, you might even have a contract on your life if they fucking attempt to take you out. And they may not take you out. Maybe they'll come in the back door of your computer, plant a bunch of child pornography or something on your computer, and then set you up to be stung by the law, and bam, wham, you're gone, you're in jail, you're in prison, they shut you up.
Yeah.
They got a lot of ways they can do it, so you have to be wary of that. But the thing is this: trolls are the scum of this world. When you get your rocks off on trolling, and the sad thing is, Jerry's correct. Some of these trolls are actually being paid $40,000, $50,000 a year with insurance to sit at their computer and make your life hell because you dare to speak the truth.
Yeah. Know which ones are the pathetic ones that aren't getting any money to do it. There's idiots out there, the mentally ill ones that are doing it for free.
Yeah.
When there's when the other people that are out there that are getting paid a fortune to do it. But that doesn't matter. I think we need to. I think one of them I saw say that I made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up because I showed where one of uh, the CIA members that worked in the computer programming on Sandy Hook lived. And wait a second, if you're pretending to be a truther, wouldn't you want those things exposed?
Yeah.
But now you're upset that we're actually digging up the real names and where these people live that are involved in this hoax. Whoa, you're sadly mistaken if you think I'm going to sit by and let people become traitors to this country and think they can get away with it and get mad at you for telling them. I mean, for bringing the traitors out into the light. Hell no. This is what I consider my job, is to go after these traitors.
They
I don't
are.
want to see just the crisis actors and the planners and the people in the government and the all these different people that are involved in the false flag go to jail. I want to see the people that are involved in protecting the lie, the ongoing campaign
Yeah.
for the fraud. I want to all see each and every one of them in court, tried for treason, and then hung right from right downtown in Sandy Hook. Find a post and just plop them up and just hang them.
Well,
That's what needs to happen.
a caller says, so who would pay trolls? Who's paying trolls? You want to?
You are. Everybody is.
Your
That's the
tax
problem.
money.
They're getting paid with the tax dollars. That's where do you think it's coming from? Mossad's paying them through Lenny Belzner and his little bullshit agencies of Sandy Hook Facts and the Honor Network. The stupid thing is the people think they're funny. Like the Honor Network, they have a PO box at a UPS office in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, well, in Newtown, 261 South Main Street in Newtown. All right. And their PO box is 322. They think they're funny. And you know what? I mean, they only call themselves when they do stupid shit out like this, but they're scumbags. And what we need to do is, I think maybe, man, Bill, maybe this week, maybe make a phone call to the UPS office there in Newtown and let them know what kind of scumbags they are for reporting these time of fraudulent businesses.
Oh yes.
These evil businesses. We need to start. What do you think? These people think they're smart. No, dude, I will find out where your grandmother lives and publish to the whole world what time she goes to the Piggly Wiggly. If you want to play games where you're going to lie to society about kids dying, you want to take part in that? That's a treasonous act. You don't cry wolf about the American children. Because what happens when one day when something real happens and people say, oh, that's just a drill, so they're going to walk by or step over the body and not help? Because these scumbags, whether they work for the military or they're private citizens or whatever way they got involved, think it's okay to cry wolf like that about children dying in American schools? No, that's not okay. I'm sorry.
No,
I don't
well,
care. I don't care how you look at it. And any idiot that would get involved with something like this and think it's okay, know what kind of scumbag you would have to be involved in this crap in any way. And especially the police. What a bunch of transgender pieces of shit. These cops that were in Newtown that are still not coming, through with the truth. They're a bunch of queer ass little Nancy Pansy bitches. And they want to think it's okay. You're not a cop. You're not a cop. You're a coward, treasonous bastard.
It's treason. I mean, you're committing. These people commit treason, and you know, even when it comes to children in schools, children in anywhere, I don't care if it's the United States, if it's in Russia, if it's in China. We're all human beings, and why should the children of this world pay for so-called adults to corrupt society? And why should you use it in the name of children? You know, everybody wants to claim they're protecting the children. Everybody, well, we got to look out for the children. We got to protect the children. They're our next generation. So you're protecting them by child trafficking them. You're protecting them by being selfish, self-centered and selfish and not caring about your children. You know how many corrupt parents are already out there that don't even know how to be a parent? And then you got these damn trolls that are going to make money from places like Google, the places that Jerry just mentioned. Google's paying them through George Soros. Okay, you mean your military's fucking, you got some military people involved in being trolls, so there's your taxpayers' money paying trolls right in your face, paying them to commit treason.
And I've been finding now too. They're getting a lot of. There's a lot of rich areas that are near Sandy Hook. And we're Sandy Hook Facts and the Honor Network. They've been preying on wealthier women, whether they're divorced or widowed, and there's a lot of them in that area. And when I'm talking wealthy, there's a lot of because what happens, a lot of the wealthy people from New York, they retire up in that area. So there's a lot of wealthy older people. So they're getting these benefactors that are got plenty of money to support their bullshit, and you feel bad for them because these older ladies or whatever, they only in their heads they're just trying to do what they think is right, and they give them a ton of money when they're using it to troll against the truth, and instead of feeding these older ladies bullshit lies and then taking their money, and it's and what's sad and pathetic is these trolls, these people that are setting you up, you're getting chump change to what these people that are getting this put all together are getting. They're getting millions and millions of dollars, and they're maybe what if they are just slapping you with $40,000 to $60,000 a year? That's nothing. The
No,
interest they're getting off the money that they've stolen more than pays for your salary to troll or whatever they're giving you. So whatever you're getting is chump change, and I feel sorry for. Well, I don't feel sorry for them. They deserve to get nothing. But it's these people that are behind this. It's funny how they screw everybody right down the line. And you know what? They deserve it. The people that are involved in it deserved it. The people that are getting money don't deserve that money either. But anybody that got involved with this deserves to get screwed. And I want to make sure I see to it that they do. Whether they're a police officer in the area or they're somebody that's part of it. Everybody needs to pay for what they did, for what they lied to the public.
you
I mean,
have,
I don't see
yeah,
how that anybody can think it's okay. Anybody that thinks it's okay that they did this, they lied to the public like they did, and that they're still stealing money, and that they're still doing this scam. And you have to be a sick individual to even take part in this, and that's going to be their downfall, because you got to get somebody that's not smart enough to realize that sooner or later this is going to catch up, or there might somebody come across and find these people and take them down and make sure that their names are sketched in history for the rest of their lives, that their families are destroyed by what they took part in. That needs to happen. And you know what? I'm making my promise. I'll do my part to make sure that does happen, because these people are the scum of the earth.
they're
You
they're,
know
they're scum.
who?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
who could?
you got
Uh,
we got the trolls and we got the shields. And anymore on YouTube, I would have to say YouTube is probably 90% trolls and shields.
yeah,
And I hate to say that, but
it is
it's the
true.
truth. I did that video today, and I was laughing because Cythorn, he did a great video and he nailed a crisis actor. And when you think Jerry may not be telling the truth about the money they made, well, this female crisis actor, she owns the gas station convenience store now. She not only owns the gas station convenience store, she's driving a new vehicle. So she gets to buy a brand new vehicle and buy a business with the money she got for lying to you and me.
Yeah, I mean, I want people out there to think about that. As you struggle with maybe some of your Christmas bills or getting gifts or even just putting the food on the table, think that some of your tax dollars went to troll me.
Yeah,
Think about that. Or not just me, other people too.
that you went to work and they, yep,
It's sick. It's sick that your tax dollars that could have maybe gone to some good use for you and your family went to troll people like me, and that's sick. That's sick. We live with a government that would actually be involved in this.
but this is what we have. And you got people, their job is to identify the people like Jerry, like myself, okay, like Scythorn, like Conspiracy Granny, to identify people that are telling the actual real truth, that have compassion, that have care, that cares about right and wrong, that wants right upon everybody. And these people's job is to identify them people and then go after them and try to turn them into the bad guy in everybody's face.
Mm.
And that's what they're being paid to do. So they
Yeah,
come
well.
up here and they'll use names like they might call themselves truth seeker.
I guess he's gone now. He somehow disappeared. I mean, that one, no, I feel sorry for it. I've always had that rule. Listen, if you're dumb enough to fall for the psyop or for one of these shills, then don't listen to my stuff. I mean, I don't want to be bogged down by people that can't use their brain for high functioning cognitive thought, and to be able to not, I want people listening to me to figure these things out. I mean, I don't need to have a million followers. I don't care about that stuff. That's what people. I don't know why these trolls keep on thinking I need to have followers. I need to have views. You got to care. You care so much. I think they're given probably that profile by people. Oh well, this is your truther, cares about this and cares about that. Well, I'm not your average person. My whole life I've had a grown up different. I've grown up a little bit different. So there's, I don't care. I don't need. I don't have the need to be popular. I don't care about that. Well, all I care about is literally getting justice, and
Well,
that's
that's
it.
it. That's
So
exactly
I
it.
mean, and to me, if I have a small group of people that would be willing to do more, that can actually not be bogged down by stupidity, and we can actually get something done, that's what I care about.
Well,
That's what I want. I
stupidity
don't want
kills.
the bullshit. You know?
Stupidity kills. And people may not think so, but it does. Because through people's stupidity, it allows history to keep playing itself. It allows you to keep going to wars. It allows you to keep killing one another. And it allows certain people to keep gaining wealth over the top of everybody else. This is what stupidity does for you. And I have no respect for anybody that's involved in this shit, but you can't, I mean, Luke Skywalker said something, I'm mad as hell. Well, let me tell you something. That's a good word because everybody should be mad as hell. Literally, everybody should be mad as hell. But you can be as mad as hell and do nothing. You can have all the information in the world and do nothing with it, and then you're just as responsible for letting it happen.
Well, and that's something that maybe we need to talk about, and that is anger. People have sometimes trouble dealing with anger. All right, and you can't let anger and hatred of somebody consume you. You have to know when to let it out at the right times and how to use it correctly. Because it's important that people still live a happy, functioning life every day. So you can't be consumed by what other people say or what other people do. If you got anger that you need to let out about something or someone, let it out at times. Don't let it consume you. When you go out to the store or meet your friends or your neighbors or whatever it is, Don't even think about it. Lead a happy life. But we have to be angry about these things like Sandy Hook or Sutherland Springs or San Bernardino or Las Vegas or the Pulse or whatever it may be that is one of them that ticks you off. I'm always still ticked off at the false flag in Kalamazoo. But you know what I'll do is I randomly and it happens like every other week or something. I am so pissed off at the police and stuff that were involved in that whole Sandy Hook or no, I'm sorry, the Kalamazoo thing. What I'll do is randomly type a letter out or an email out to the police chief telling him what kind of a piece of shit he is. And of course, I always just add because of the fake Uber shooting. That way, they can't ever do anything about it because they can't take me to court because then they have to explain the Kalamazoo Uber shooting being fake. So, and I'll do that every other week. I'll probably send him maybe 50 or 100 emails, which is more than harassment. So they should do something about it, but they can't.
No.
Because it was fake.
And well,
you know?
Cyclone did an awesome job when he exposed that cop. You actually had a cop. You actually had a policeman.
That sheriff admitted it. I don't care what anybody says. That's about as admitting it as you can get. And I'll call that one a definite middle, even though it wasn't 100%. But I mean, that was probably the best I've seen so far.
That was awesome. I mean, this deputy basically admitted. I mean, admitted that it never happened. The shooting in the church never happened. That it was a drill. Nobody died, and he admitted it. But the public ain't going to be told that now, are they?
Here's the thing: the public is so brainwashed. Even if they were told it by one random police officer, something they still wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Because they're I mean, I've read some studies of you got to go. People, if they want to look into certain things like this, when they do some government studies about some really bizarre things, and how people will function about truth or if they change certain policies or whatever, look into like the Rand Institute or the what's the other one? Jeez, I can't even think of it right now. But they write reports on these type of things all the time, and you can dig them up if you look hard enough. Or at least you used to be able to dig them up. I haven't looked into them in a while, and you'll learn so much and what kind of things they're planning or what they might do because they do reports on it, and they want to before they do these type of things they want to know what's the chances of success, and so they're going to go to these institutes that the CFR uses and the other different government agencies use that have a proven track record of giving them the information they need or the steps for planning they need. And if you look hard enough, you can find it. It won't say hey, this Las Vegas false flag. If you do it this way, it's going to do that. What they'll say is, well, if we did some kind of an event, such and such, actions were taken, this percentage of people are going to believe it. This person, and then if it did somehow get out that it was a lie, this percentage would believe it and still believe it, and this percentage wouldn't, and they would only believe it if a certain percentage, saw it in a certain part of the news, and so didn't, and so they already know, they have their percentages, they already know what their risk is, and the scary part is when you start to read some of these things, unless there's a major game changer, the predictions don't look good for us. No. And we're still stuck on, trying to wake everybody up on the internet. And that's why I say I don't care about my views, because I understand that no matter what I do or anything else like that on the internet, according to their studies, it's not going to change anything. So I understand, the different types of things, because they start to look into game theory. When you start looking into game theory and how they figure out all these different things and these events and, the conclusions and everything else, there's only one answer to it. And I'm not going to say the one answer to it because, it's because the name of it is, I don't even know if you can say it on YouTube. It's a fucked up name. It's called the "fuck you man" move. And literally, it's literally the guys at MIT developed the only way you could beat game theory is with the "fuck you man" move. Okay, so I understand the "fuck you man" move is not going to work on the internet or through media or whatever, with any of their particular things. They own the media, they own the internet. So the fuck you man move is not going to work that way. It's got to be done differently. And if you understand that, you also understand that it doesn't matter what you do on the internet, it's not going to change anything.
No, it's
So,
not.
so whether they ruin your views or, like they did to me, I got kicked off of YouTube. Now, Wake Time with Jerry is stolen. Somebody else has it. They did it in, they're using it to try and discredit me. I don't care. I actually kind of, in a way, need some of that because that will give me a chance to maybe come up with a fuck you man move. So they have no clue, which is, which is kind of funny that, because when you talk into these little trolls, they have no clue what kind of games actually really even play. We're going up against, we're going up against pretty much all the power in the world. And there's only one way to beat them. And it's, if you read about it, it's such a bizarre way. It's almost impossible to even think about, one that would work.
Keep us going a minute, Jerry. I got water pill problems.
I got water pill problems. Well, happy birthday, by the way, Bill. And Bill birthday, but that's the crazy thing. People can't get concerned what trolls are going to say or what other people are going to say. Although, if you want to bring them in and get more information about them, sometimes it's not a bad idea to let them know that you care, to make them think that you care, because they're going to show their true colors. Right, Rod, this is the only one place where the trolls belong, at the end of a pencil. Oh, I forgot about those. I remember that. And you must have been one of those girls that had the little troll dolls. I don't wonder if everybody remembers. Remember when the girls put the little troll dolls on the top of the pencils? That must be what she's talking about. I haven't seen one of those things in years. I remember when I was in school and the girls used to put the little troll dolls, and then of course I was always an asshole in school, so I'd rip off the troll dolls and whip them across the room. Yeah, I was that asshole kid, the kid that stole the troll dolls and whipped them across the room. Yeah, you know. I'm not sure if that really, well, it didn't work too much for me in the lady department. If that's a lesson to learn, don't be mean to the girls like that and rip off the trolls and launch them across the room in school. I can't believe she came up with that. I mean, that's been so long since I've seen one of those little tiny trolls on the end of the pencils. That's too funny. What are we gonna do? So I guess you're right. Yeah, the only place they belong is at the end of the pencil. You know, but honestly, I don't even know if they should be near any type of writing instrument trolls. They shouldn't be near a computer keyboard or maybe a pencil. They need to just be, most of them, it almost seems like need to be institutionalized. And my guess is that's probably the type of people that they hire because, I mean, think about the moral depravity of a person that would take a job as a troll if they are a professional troll. We know there's some people that are just mentally sick and do it, just because they do it. But the ones that are hired to do that, I mean, think what kind of a person you have to be, to get a position as a troll. With all these when these corporations, hire people, they give them tests and everything. I mean, what kind of test do you give to make sure somebody's qualified for a troll?
You look for dumbness.
Dumbness. I mean, not even just dumbness. I mean, we're kind of, how they have to ask all those weird psychological questions. Would you steal from your friend? Well, normally you'd probably say no, but to get a troll, you'd probably have to say yes. I mean, they're hiring all those people that failed the normal test. you know, if they failed the normal corporate test, you fit perfect for a troll. Come on, we'll put you in this room over here in the back.
Well, it's like law enforcement. If you believe in your Constitution and you believe in what's right and you recognize wrong from right, you can't be a cop in America. They will
No.
not hire you to be a cop. Doesn't matter how much training you got, you cannot be a cop.
Well, was it you earlier that was saying when we were watching the video, how, like just normal or not normal, but decent that sheriff that Cy Thornton came across was?
Yes.
Because in most cities, you don't see that. In the bigger cities, out in the rural areas, you might actually get a decent person that's in law enforcement. But in this anywhere near a population of some substance, you're getting a douchebag. You're not getting a decent guy. You're getting a straight up douchebag, and that's how they hire them. You know,
That's
it's
it.
it's sickening.
That's just it. And people may not think that's true, but it is true. The majority of law enforcement is corrupt pieces of shit. Excuse my language, but they are.
They
Just
are,
perfect
and
little
that's
order followers that'll follow any command, and they love bullying people because that's what they've done their whole life was bully other people. So if you can get the perfect order follower who's a bully, you got the perfect cop, right?
and what we also need to stop is I forgot what the percentage of them. It was somewhere over 80%. It may have been in the 90s. I'm not 100% sure on it. But this percentage is of these people, these police officers, are Masons. And I know that whatever the percentage is of American police officers, that when it goes to the state police, it's even higher. So, maybe a smart thing we could do is figure out how to start maybe putting some bills in place that make it so, if you're going to be a police officer, you're not allowed to join any other type of, well, call it secret society or any other kind of a group. Because the group you should be most dedicated to as a police officer would be we the people. That's what would make sense to me. So you should have no other influences other than caring about we the people. So, you know, maybe if we can even start them at the small town level, one or two small towns to get it and put policy in place so that anybody that joins their police department is not allowed to be part of any other, the Masons or any other, group like that. We might start getting decent police and not getting involved in all this corruption and everything else. Oh, we have to be sworn to secret. Our Masons we have to keep our secrets higher than even anything else and these other oaths. And then if you're looking in the military, they advance people. Oh, they're in the Masons. Hey, here we go. We're going to make you captain, senior officer, whatever, douchebag. And that's bullcrap. It's another place where we need to stop allowing secret societies to infiltrate within our system or whatever you want to call it because it's crap at this point. But if you're going to be an officer in the military, well, you should be dedicated to just our military, not keeping any other secrets with some secret society.
Yep.
So we got to make sure that they aren't tied to secret societies also.
Well,
I mean, what would be really nice is we just got rid of the Masons. I like to take all their freaking shoes they lose and then take them and slap them in their face with their stupid shoes that keep on coming off. You know, that's what I like to do to have these Masons.
yeah, that's
But
the
that's just
mock.
me personally.
That's the
That's just me
shoes. The
personally.
shoes coming off thing is really just about mockery.
Yeah, it's old now. I mean, come on, keep your shoes on, little queer ass Masons.
Well, and it's sick that our military. You hear Trump's new budget cuts, and you hear old Trump talking about billions more dollars into the military. Okay, well, of course. But why do we want to spend billions more dollars into a bunch of people who failed to grow up?
Mm.
Because there's no excuse to have a military. There's no excuse whatsoever for a military. And
Shit, maybe if we cut their shoe budget, they'll keep them on.
maybe we make them go around barefooted after they step on enough rocks and shit. They'll discover they might need their shoes. And it's pretty sad that your military gets involved in phony baloney stage shows. And they can't
Yeah.
tell me they don't know. Okay, they go do a drill like, okay, let's do the Boston Marathon for one. Okay, so you're gonna tell me these people didn't know that they were taking part in this? Yes, they did. They seen it all over their TV set. They seen it in their newspapers. They knew they were part of this.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. You watch that video. I mean, that one, the first, that looked like maybe they were troopers, the first ones that came in on the video. One of them, I mean, he was trying to not laugh. I mean, that's how much they know this shit is fake. Some of these cops can't even hold their face. They know how much bullshit it is. I mean, it's pathetic. It is. And we can't get mad at the sheeple or whatever we want to call them, the sleepers. You know, the sheeple. They have no clue that this is going on. And they were deceived, and we can't get mad at them. It's not their fault. It was the deceivers, and we know we need to do is go after the deceivers. We can't get angry at the sheeple. Sometimes I know so many people out there I talk to every day. They get so frustrated. They want to wake up somebody in their family or their friends, and they might get into an argument with them or something. And it's like, you can't get angry at these people. They have no concept of what's really going on. So it's you want to blame it as hey, this is your fault. You can't. You got to wake it. You got to be able to see it. It's so obvious. Well, they just don't. And sometimes you just can't force it. And you want to get mad at them because they can't see it, or they just don't get it. And you can't, because it's not their fault. You know. I bet you just the number of people that are actually even involved in these things, because of the different types of, whether they're MK Ultra or whatever other programs that are involved with these different false flags. I bet you the percentage of people that are even involved in these things have no clue that they're fake. I can almost guarantee there's probably a large percentage of even these people that are involved in it actually believe it because of the programs they've been put through.
Yeah.
And that's even sick. And so sometimes, you even want to, it's like you get caught in kind of a conflict. If we know they're all MK Ultra victims, do we feel sorry for them? They took part in something, but we also, you know, the human side, you also have to think, well, they are victims. They are victims. They were put through something. And yeah, we do need to we need to um, feel some kind of emotion of sorrow for them, because it's I mean, if they were put through some kind of government program where it did this to them mentally, we do have to feel sorry for them. It's the ones I really want to go after, the people that understand what they're doing and still continue to do it, because those are the sick people that need to be locked up. They need to be hung. We need to put, like I said, we need to try them for treason, lock them up, and hang them.
Bring
You
back the
know?
public execution. Let them hang before everybody they
Oh
can.
yeah. No, I'd like to see is like, you remember like the old fashioned movies or stuff, something where they had the pilgrims or something. And they put people in stockades right in the center of town. That's what I want to see come back. If we started putting people that behave like this and lied to society and did these dirty things, if we put them in stockades for the whole town to see them every day, made them stay there every day, people might think twice about getting involved in these things. you know, if kids started throwing rotten tomatoes at the, hey, well, I mean, if they had kids or something, well, those kids aren't going to want to go to, school, because the other kids are going to be making fun of them. Hey, isn't that your dad down there in the stockades? Ha ha ha! We just threw tomatoes at him. Then that would deter some of this shit.
Oh, well, it sure would. That would definitely deter. People would think twice before they would even get involved.
Yeah.
So, it's one of these things that you've got to do something, and people ain't doing nothing. But, if you want to see a cop laugh, giggling, all you got to do is go to 153news.net and look for Scythorn.
Mm.
When you get to 153news.net, look for Scythorn and watch his last video up. You will see the cops clearly know that they lied to the public.
Oh yeah, they clearly know. They know, and that's those are the ones I hate the most, because I mean, you do you, or should you have understanding for people that maybe want to tell the truth and know the truth, but they feel, oh, well, they can't, their job's in jeopardy or this or that. No, we're at the point in society where no, there's no excuse. If you know something's wrong, and this has gone throughout, this is like natural law. If you know something bad is going to happen to somebody, you have an obligation to tell them, to because that's so they don't get hurt. If somebody did something wrong in society, you have an obligation to tell society, because these people are a danger to society. Now, if what they were doing wasn't a danger to society, it would be a different story. and you can let it go. But what they're doing is an extreme danger to society. And I've given this example before. What if you live in a town where, and your grandmother lives on the other side of town, and the side of town that, the whole police department and EMTs decide to have a false flag and they're doing all this crazy bullshit. Your grandmother has a heart attack on the other side of town. Well, they're too busy playing cry wolf. Your grandmother dies. So yes, what they're doing is definitely 100% wrong. Even in the drill part. The drill part, well, you could do that in off time and do it at one of your local facilities somewhere and pretend that there's a building here or whatever. You stage it or whatever, but don't do it right in public. That kind of stuff is crap.
They could go to a Hollywood
Yeah.
studio. I went
Yeah.
through MGM Studios.
Well, I
They
guess I
have
said real quick.
entire towns built that they do their acting in. So why don't they go use one of them studios?
Yeah, and I just want to say, Rhonda, I know exactly what you're talking about. And the message you sent me, I've been watching that since the beginning. So yeah, I'm already on that. But thank you, and you know what? And I applaud for Rhonda for noticing that. Yes, good. Now you're starting to see it, Rhonda. Now you're starting to see it. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, Bill, but Rhonda does. Yeah.
That's nice of you.
I'll tell you later. But yes, Rhonda, you're starting to see it. Yes. I saw that from the very beginning. Yeah. And not only that, Rhonda, there's more than one.
I think I know. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. uh, but anyways, Bill, who cares about the stupid trolls? you know, what are you gonna do? They're, they'll get their day. At least that's what I fight for. So it's not just them. We can't, let them distract us from our main goals.
Well, we have a very sick society, very divided.
But
People are divided up in every way possible.
yeah,
And people are literally treat each other like dirt. And
yeah, they
that's
do.
not a gender issue. I see it. I see it's just what it is, straight across the board. And I don't know how many people. I mean, I showed Jerry a video the other day. This guy gave a great message, didn't he, Jerry?
Which show? What are we talking about?
The
I was
vid.
putting Blizzy under the blanket.
Okay.
She's got to be under the blanket.
I watched a video the other day where this guy delivered a very great message. But in his great message, he had two parts that were actually programming, and they were wrong. They shouldn't have been in there.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And this is how they get you. They get somebody that gives a great speech, then they use a couple phrases in there, and people don't catch it. But it helps to program their behavior.
That's what it's all about too. And I think a lot of people that are on Facebook or Twitter and all these, or on YouTube or whatever, and if you're starting to see some of these commercials that have meaningful moral stories in them, or uplifting, stories or whatever, don't pay attention to so much these commercials or these little public service announcements or whatever they are. If you replay them and really pay attention, you can see the NLP, the neuro linguistics programming in them.
Yep.
And just like Tony Robbins, he's another piece of shit. Okay, he's a scumbag. He uses he's famous for, he studied with all the MK Ultra MLP freaking masters at Harvard and all these other places that he didn't study with them, but they guided him. And so they slip in these different neuro linguistics programming. And, so you're getting this great message. Oh, look, I just got this great message. But if you really pay attention, they slip in some stuff that, is all for the programming part of it. So, that whole message, it may be beautiful, but you don't realize, there's programming in it. And then, like, Bill picks it out all the time. And sometimes I don't even pick it out as fast as he does. But it's, these neural linguistics programming is what scares me, because people, are driven on emotion. So if there's things out there, just like, it sucks, because I think a lot of us that maybe understand the neural linguistics programming know that we could use it, and we could use it for even the benefit of the real cause, but I don't believe in doing it because it's so wrong to do.
It is.
It is. And so when people are driven on emotion by selling them, staying with those big topics that are popular, or not going certain ways because the majority of people believe something a certain way, and then, using the the NLP, when, you have that large volume of people paying attention to you, that's very destructive, and it's done every day.
It
And,
is.
and I would love to use it, but I know I can't morally, because I know how wrong it is. And, because I think everybody should have their own free will, and everybody should be able to think for themselves. So it's not right to use these different techniques to try and convince people, or take people down a certain path, even if it is the right path or whatnot, because I just don't believe that, trying to control somebody else is the right thing to do.
It isn't.
You know,
It's wrong because nobody wants to be ordered around and told what they can and can't do to begin with. I don't know anybody that wants to be ordered around, bossed around, and told what to do. Okay, I mean, you have to put up with it when you're on a job by your boss or whatever. But in life overall, you don't want to. I don't know anybody. And it's not a gender issue. I just don't know anybody that really truly wants to be bossed around and pushed around and treated like garbage. But thanks to the programming and social conditioning, this is what we have. And they've used it so perfectively, so skillfully, that they got the mindset of men and women all messed up, completely messed up. And I feel sorry for both genders, and I can't get it through to a lot of people, and I try so hard. I try so hard to get it through to them because, it's no different than when I talk about dating scene topics and I talk about the women and I talk about the men. I try to get it through their head that you have two sides of the spectrum, and both sides, men and women alike, are victims.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Is that, people, when we talk about the mass programming and mass just destruction of America, what we have to start to realize is we're all victims, whether you're awake or not. We've all been a victim to the bullshit of tyranny, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them. We are all victims in one way or another. And, until we can recognize, all right, we've been victimized, and you know what, we're not going to let ourselves be victimized anymore, then we can start to grow. But so many people, and yeah, the sheeple, whatever, they can't admit that they would be, that this great America would ever victimize them. And there are so many great things in our country. I think was pretty. It wasn't maybe great, but it was pretty good at the time. And since then, I feel victimized.
You are. You are.
When I went down to Sandy Hook, and when I went down there, and I told Bill, I said, man, I got to get the freak out of here. I said, these people are not. It wasn't just like, you know, me going back to the old hometown area or whatever. Because I live near there, and seeing like one, a little, gas station turn into a mini mall or anything like that. That wasn't that. So the people just changed. Whatever they got going on in Sandy Hook is bizarre. The people are not the same that I remember. The whole mentality, the behaviors, and it was spooky as hell. It was just not right. There was something really bizarre. And I've always, I lived in New Haven, which is a pretty big sized city before. I've lived in, in Kalamazoo, decent sized city, and I've lived in bigger areas. And I enjoy having, the creature comforts, the, being able to go down to the 24-hour McDonald's or the whatever, or the, being able to go to the, the club to 3 in the morning or whatever, and when I went down there, I was like, shit, I cannot wait to get back into the middle of Maine where everything's closed at 9 o'clock, or 8 o'clock. And
That's it.
I was just, because I was like, oh man, there's something wrong with the rest of America. There, it's like these bigger areas have been slowly just like super controlled or whatever, the mentality of how people behave. I said, I want to go back to where even if I don't know the furthest down neighbor, he still waves at me or whatever, like I know him. I like that. I like that, that I can go to the local store and be addressed by my name. I like that. And I never thought I would before, but I mean, when you see what's going on in these cities where they're just, they've somehow gained control of the larger population areas, and that's scary. I don't know how they did it, whether they are using, like they talked about with some of these government patents that we can prove that, Russia and America has been using frequencies to change and control the moods of people for many years now. Whether they're doing that or whatever they're doing, I could see the mood, and I could see the way people behave has drastically changed, especially in that Connecticut area, and it's pretty scary.
It has.
Yeah.
And I know what Jerry's talking about because I see it myself. And the sad thing is it's only going to get worse because I'll guarantee you they're using frequencies, they're using medications from big pharma. There's a combination of things that's going into this. Your school system, programming your children, and you don't even realize you think your children are going there for an education. No, they're not. They're going there to be brainwashed, to be controlled, so that they
Yeah.
can grow up to be the perfect little damn slave
That's it.
for a bunch
And,
of
and it's
psychopaths.
when you come down to it, when you talk about the trolls and everything else, who do you think they're picking for Cindy Hook trolls? Yeah, they're picking the ones that already been pre-programmed and whatever. They control the easiest. They're picking up, they're picking up the brain freaked. They're not picking up people that can think for themselves and have cognitive thought. They're picking up the ones that can be told, where they're taught, to they're the same procedures over and over again. What is it? Ridicule.
Yeah.
I forgot what the middle one, and then it's repeat. They have like three functions to just do the same thing over and over again, and that's what they're programmed to do. So I mean, I think with the standard the type of the procedure, it wasn't called for trolls or whatever, but to attack people online, it was actually developed at the Stanford Research Institute, which is part of Stanford University in California. They've been part of these things for a long time, and when you really get into it, it's amazing that to think that I didn't even realize that some of these institutions were doing these things for so long, and it was right in front of our noses, and we didn't even realize that that these things were going on, and now we're starting to see it because they're it's almost like when they get these false flags and everything else, they're basically putting all these people that they created or turned into little mind freaks or whatever right in front of our face.
They sure are.
So, and I think they have so many, and just like when you read the reports from what was it, 1993, when the MK Ultra program went to Congress and had to supposedly shut down, but we know they never did. And they talked about having millions of people under their control at then. Well, how do you control millions and millions of people? Well, I think they're using the internet now, and I think they're using, different things in TV and everything else, so they can put things where there might be quite a few people that are been programmed, and all they have to do is see it, and then they'll start saying, oh, maybe I should go to that place or something. Maybe they'll start to have the thought in their head, for some reason I need to be over here in Las Vegas. So next thing you know, you got people flying out to Las Vegas and they don't even know why. I'm sure that's probably the case. because they need to have their people in the right place, and they could probably do it that easy. And we're talking about some of these programs when you really look into it. That if you really look into what's going on with programming, I mean, it's not just that they've infiltrated the media and music and television and movies.
I
It's
can give
them.
you.
It's them that created it.
It is. I'll
They,
give.
they so it's not even that they're infiltrated it. No, forget infiltration. They're the ones that created, the different types of styles of music and different types of
It
things.
is. Well, there's something I thought about here, and I've told this to people before, but I don't know that I've said it on this show. Okay, one of the ways they've created division, they don't even got to have somebody from a university or a college. They can take a homeless guy off the street. They can dress him up nice, put him in a white coat. They can write up a script and have him read it and have him study it. And they offer him a good amount of money that maybe will get him an apartment, a little bit of food. And that's a start for him because that means I'll have a roof over my head. I won't be homeless. Okay, so he'll grab up on that because that's going to be a little bit of money in his pocket. So we take this homeless guy off the street, we clean him up, we have him study the script, and we give him phony credentials. We say he was from a university or a college, and we call him a doctor and blah blah blah. And they put him right on TV, and they have a board with the picture of the human brain on it. And on one side they got the female's brain, and on the other side they got the male's brain. And they just have him point the stick, and he studied the script, so he's memorized it. And he goes and just repeats the script as he points the stick. And when he's through, you're gonna believe everything he told you, even if it's all complete BS. And why would he do that? Because it'll cause friction amongst the genders.
Mm. Little little squirrel just asked a question. And we read it again. Is it what was Sandy Hook like before the event? Did it give you a bad vibe? Was it a place that gave you the creeps? This is the best way I can answer that, and it's weird. Is I didn't spend a lot of time in like the what I consider upper Sandy Hook's got a weird shape where you almost have to go through Newtown. You go through Sandy Hook and then go through Newtown and then back into Sandy Hook. It's kind of weird like that. At least from the direction that I would always come from. So the I would call it the upper or the most northern part. It was kind of creepy, and there's a lot of really old cemeteries and stuff like that in that area. It's the Mohawk Trail actually runs through part of Sandy Hook, and the Mohawk Trail is that big long trail that goes all the way down to into the what is it, the mountains down in Virginia and everything else. Now, in the Mohawk, yeah, matter of fact, when I was a kid, I used to ski at Mohawk Mountain, which was even up a little bit north of there. And the lower part, it didn't give me a bad vibe. And, we used to go, like I said, we used to go smoke pot in the woods up there, and all that. And all along the river, I felt comfortable. I never just went spooky. But when you go further up, when you start getting close to like where Fairfield Hills Hospital is, it's just weird. I remember when I was a kid, I had a friend, and when there's like you could take a shortcut back in the day and scoot through Fairfield Hills Hospital to out to the other road to connect up to 34. Now, I remember he used to just go flying, even though the hospital was pretty much all closed down, even though there was still, I guess, a small part of it open. He used to just go flying through like the Fairfield Hospital because for some reason it freaked him out. So we'd go flying through. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're doing like flying here, and it's like a really small road, the really slow road with curves and shit. And he used to just fly right through it because it's freaked him out. So and there are places not too far from there, like Kettletown and some of these other weird areas that really aren't even on the map that are just kind of spooky. If you know anything about, believe it or not, this is where it gets weird. All right, people, where it gets weird with Sandy Hook. If you've ever heard of the Warrens, okay, the Warrens are, and if anybody did hear of the Warrens before, you can make a note in the chat. The Warrens are famous ghost hunters. All right. And if you ever look them up, they were the people that had what do you call it? A museum. It was like where they kept all the haunted objects that were known to be in America or wherever. They had Annabelle, which was a Raggedy Ann doll, right? If I remember correctly. And it was supposed to, be a haunted doll. Well, they were right in Monroe. Not when Monroe is right next to Sandy Hook, so they're right there, right? So, it has some spooky parts to that area. Yes, it does. But it wasn't like the people were spooky back then. What I noticed is from the time I was in high school, there was a lot of new people to that area that weren't there from when I was back in the day. It used to be an area where there's, a few hippies that lived up in the woods and, along the riverside and this and that. And it wasn't on until later in the years where more people just came in. They moved in that area. So it was strange. I got a bad vibe this time when I was down there. Never like I did before. Never did I get a bad vibe like I did when I was down there. And it was just it was almost like walking into another world. And maybe that is because of those electronic devices that I found or whatnot, that were zoning off that town of Sandy Hook. It could be, maybe those things aren't to brainwash the people that live there, but are to scare away people from going there. I don't know. But it was definitely a freakier feeling I had when I was down here than I ever had before. It was without a doubt. But like I said, when I was younger, I had no problem. We went into the woods, and it wasn't scary woods. It was actually kind of cool woods they have out there. It was actually a really cool area. So no, but now there's no doubt in my mind it is a freak hole.
Well, you got the free code, but yeah, I know what he's talking about when he's talking about the Warrens, but that's for a whole different show.
Yeah, that's a whole other song. And I mean, those people. I mean, they're famous. They go. I mean, if you look them up, they're actually interesting to just if you look up and look into the Warrens. Now, I mean, they haven't really, not so much looking up into Sandy Hook, but just like some of the stuff that they've been involved in, they did. And it was Ed and Ed. What was his wife's name?
Oh my
Ed
God.
and Sutton Warren. Ed and shoot, I can't believe I forgot their names. They were famous in that area.
That's because you want to
They
talk about it.
Yeah, they were really nice people too. I know my sister met them. She, because they used to give tours and stuff like that, and do ghost shows. And everybody that's ever met them, they were like the nicest people in the world. So, I've never ever heard anything bad about these people that were the ghost hunters, the Warrens. But Ed and Lorraine Warren, I want to say is their name, if I remember correctly. So, but if you get spooked here easy, don't look up the Warrens because they have some spooky stuff.
That's why I say it. That's probably for another show.
Yeah, it's a whole other show.
But as far as, Sandy Hook, Newtown, where Jerry went and did the protest, Jerry got to go back there. People don't, I don't think most people don't, they don't even comprehend how much Jerry actually put himself through to do this. They just don't comprehend it. And he done this because he's a man of his word and he actually cares. Just like myself, he cares. He wants what's right and he wants the corruption stopped. Just like
Yes,
I do. I
Little
mean,
Squirrel, thank you.
I want the corruption stopped. I want Jerry to be happy. I want to be happy. I want everybody to be happy. And I want to see men and women back together again and not fighting. I want to see the black and the whites and the Mexicans not fighting one another. I want to see people stop calling people out over fluff and stuff, you know. But I know I'm living a pipe dream.
Yeah. Oh, so I was right. It is Ed and Lorraine Warren. Rhonda just Googled it.
There you go, Lorraine. That is, I recognize it the minute you said
Yeah.
Lorraine. That's it. That is
But
her
I'm
name.
telling you, Rhonda, be careful looking into them because I know you like to look deep into stuff. But I mean, these people are, they're very nice. But like some of the stuff you'll see what they were involved in is spooky as shit. So that's a warning.
Now, I don't know what this other guy's talking about. Classified mission to the Super Bowl.
I was probably talking about the kids going to the Super Bowl afterwards. You
Oh
know,
yeah, I know. That's when they
you
made a
know,
mockery out of the public.
yeah,
They literally did. They made fools out of the entire public.
yeah, yeah. No, that's what we got. And that's one of the biggest problems we have too. Is the crisis actors, crisis. Well, we got to get away from the crisis actors and go after the producers. We they're always, no matter how many crisis actors we bust, they'll get more. So that's not important. What we need to do is stop the people that are behind this stuff.
That's
Is
right.
go. We have to bring them out in the light. Like that
The root cause.
person that person I pointed out that lives on Puck Up Hill Road in Oxford, Connecticut, the second house in on the left, that works for the CIA. We got to put people out in the light like that, and we got to start bringing out some other people. And I've been digging into it because we're going to bring out more of
Well, I
them.
know what I know what Rhonda's saying, and she thinks they may have made fools of themselves, and I agree with her that they did. But the sad thing is, I can guarantee you, their audience, the majority of their audience, and I mean the majority, on TV and in the stadium itself, didn't even recognize them kids and didn't know them children. Them were the kids that were supposed to be dead. They didn't have the first clue.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and that's the worst part of it is, you know, these kids that are still alive when they use their names or whatever, like that one that's I forget his name, slipped my mind right now. The one that's joining the college football team. Um, I just got a whole dossier on him, and you know what? I mean, and as much as that information is great and all that stuff, but I'm sure he was probably a victim of MK Ultra from Fairfield Hills Hospital or one of the other programs that were maybe going on Long Island or somewhere else in the area. And it's not the guy's fault that he was put through the program, the kid's fault that he was put through the program. It's the people that put these people through the program.
Yeah,
And we want to be mad at him. Yeah, oh my God, why would you take part of this? Well, the kid was a kid. The guy was a kid, and and whatever program he got put into is probably not his fault.
yeah. I suppose from the
You
time
know,
he was a child, he was put through different programs. He was
if
brainwashed like everybody else into believing the stuff that he believes.
yeah, think about it. He's got to live the rest of his life in a lie. He's been told that so much that this happened as a kid. He developed that to be a truth in his own right. So this poor person actually is going to believe a lie for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Sad.
Well, there was a horror show called The Doll Annabelle. Little Squirrel's correct about that. Yes, there was.
It might have been based on it, the whole story behind it. I remember my sister going to the museum and telling me she freaked out over it. But she told me the ones were nice, but she remember her telling them, and they had it was really bizarre. They had like a split level rank. I can't. Well, we shouldn't even get into the war. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, I mean, they, it's very, if you wanted a set of characters in that area, I mean, they were a character couple. There were some very interesting, people. No, I think it's more MK Ultra, because these people like to rip off people, right? And if it was money, the way they, if they're given, if it was just money, um, there's people get greedy,
Well, they
and
sure do.
they might say, see that one I'm one crisis actor made more than this one, so they're going to start bitching and balking. They made more than me, I want more money, or I'm going to talk. And that could be the case in some cases, but I think there has to be some kind of NLP or MK Ultra programming, so that these people are not talking. I think there's got to be more of it. And so I don't think it's just money. I think there's a lot of programming involved in this. And I truly believe this. When you look at the extent of some of these, if when you look into the MK Ultra program and the 149 sub projects that it had, And that's when it was supposedly shut down. So God knows how many programs are actually out there now. The extent of it, I'm more likely to side on the MK Ultra side than the money side. And I wouldn't even be surprised if there's a lot of people that have been involved in this stuff that didn't get any money, and it was all MK Ultra. Because they've gotten MK Ultra to the point where they can, put somebody under or do whatever they do, and once they're done, they click them out of it, and they don't even know what happened, or they can
Exactly.
implant a story. So that would make more sense to do than the money side, you know.
Well, look at the phony baloney Batman shooting. When the guy was brought in for the public, you could tell that the guy was clearly drugged or something.
Yeah.
You can't say for sure, but you know he was drugged or something.
So he fit the profile of. Well, I mean, he was working for the what should I call it? The Salk Institute. Okay, the Salk Institute has been involved in MK Ultra for years. So not only was it involved in MK Ultra before, what was his name, Robert Salk. The creator of the Salk Institute. He was the father of the polio vaccine. And if you do some history on the polio vaccine, what kind of bullshit that was all about, and how they used. This is where you can, if you really want to dig into a false flag, that's a key point. Okay, what you want to do is follow the Salk Institute and Salk himself, and how they involved in the polio hospitals, and then you want to get into the tuberculosis hospitals. I've said this before on the show, and I've said it in videos. If you want to understand false flags 100%, you need to truly understand what went on with these tuberculosis hospitals and these places like what do they call them? These resorts that they had for people's health back in the early eight or late 1800s or in the early 1900s, and how theosophy fits into these places, and how these things went on, and how they infiltrated into rich people. You can look into the history of Kellogg's before it was a cereal company. That will help you really find out how the people that are doing what they are doing today are doing it, and who these people are.
Yeah.
So if you really want to understand false flags, you need to look into these tuberculosis hospitals and all the people that are connected with these tuberculosis hospitals and the things that went on at these things. Okay, you need to look at the ones that were in the Midwest, in Colorado, in California. You need to look at them all, and that will help you really truly understand what's going on. And don't look into them if you're scared easy too, because you'll realize that these type of things have been going on a lot longer than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, well, that's just it, when something sounds completely crazy, completely nuts, and your first thought in your head is, there's no way anybody would do that. Take it to the bank. It's being done.
Yeah, this stuff has been going on. When you really look into it, it's been going on a lot longer than you think. And when you start looking at just like the mental hospitals where they're doing this stuff and whatnot, that's actually just the newer version of MK Ultra is basically a new version of something that has been going on for a very long time. MK Ultra, and when Huxley started, pushing this brave new world and into the American society, and getting that program jump started. That's just a newer version of what's been going on. And if you got to think about it, think about it. Look into some stuff like the Scopes trial and the people that were involved in the Scopes trial, and that was when they put a monkey on trial. Yeah, yes, you're right, Rhonda. And and they put a monkey on trial to you know show society whether they should push religion in school or evolution, and so they've been putting on a show for a long time. These people have been doing this. once you get in, you learn a little bit about the Quakers. When you learn the Quakers and how they're involved in all this stuff and how they have been for ages. And you got to look at it, and it's really bizarre when you start looking into the deep history of this stuff before the present day, just CIA and Masons and stuff. Because it's not just the CIA and it's not just the Masons. We're looking at you're looking at a combination, of a whole bunch of crap. All right. If you were going to say the people that are behind this, you're going to throw in the Masons, the Jesuits, the CIA. No, you need to throw in the Quakers. You need to throw in, these wealthy people from these wealthy elite banking families, and all the Sims. You know.
There's so many people involved.
Yeah, it's a combination. Matter of fact, what was it? I think what was it? I forgot his name. Salinger that wrote the book or whatever, the screenplay or whatever it was for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was basically based on you know the things that were happening in MK Ultra hospitals.
Yeah.
And this is crazy shit. It's Laurel Canyon. There you go. Lookout Mountain. Yeah, yeah. Four Wheeled Peas understands what I'm talking about. Yeah. When you start getting into that Laurel Canyon, yeah, all that crap. That's the worst part when you look into like Laurel Canyon and you learn about our music. You know, at first when you learn how influenced our music was by this program that's been going on, you're like, shit, I can't even listen to any music anymore because they're all crap. And you know what the worst part is too is when you start looking into it and you look into different musical artists and you start doing some research on maybe one of your favorite musical artists and you find out all the same things that they were doing back in the 60s they're doing today. You'll find out time after time again the lead singer of this band or the lead singer of that band has an army intelligence background, whether it was through their parents or they were in the military themselves. And it's the most bizarre things because you might look up, like, what was it? I looked up the other day, I was looking up Maynard from Tool and found out he had an army background. I was like, holy shit, even Maynard? I was like, man, they got everybody. And it sucks. So, I think that's something too that you got to come to understanding, and is when you learn about how they influenced our music and how they use that to as anthropologic warfare on our society. You have to recognize, okay, this is what they did. This is why they created this punk, genre or this alternative genre or whatever they created. But that doesn't mean you have to throw out all that music that you may enjoy. Just recognize that there could be bad things within that music or whatever. And if you recognize it, if the music don't feel right, you turn it off. You know, you don't have to just totally get rid of it. But I noticed that today. There's certain music that I don't allow in my house because I know how much it was involved in the MK Ultra program and whatnot. Like ICP, Insane Clubhouse. I do not allow that music. Nobody, and if somebody comes to my house, they want to try and play that. No, you're not allowed to. I do not allow it in my house. I do not allow new rap because I know how much they infiltrated the new rap, and I don't allow it. So certain things I do say no to. I don't listen to, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna listen to an old Nirvana song. Just because I understand it's different influences that were involved in that or whatever else. You know, you can't totally wipe it all off because yeah, it's see, yeah, Four World Peace totally gets it. It's
Yes,
weaponized anthropology. That's
it is.
exactly what it is.
That's
Exactly
exactly
what
what
it
it
is.
is. War and Peace, he gets it. He's very, very awake. And I'm seeing
Mm.
that, and he gets it, and he knows what we're talking about.
Or it
You
might be
know,
she. I don't know. I don't. We just not
she,
judge.
he, whatever. Yep. I don't want to call him a he, she because we have all these different genders that don't exist.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we're freaking 34 flavors of genders. Come on, you can't make up your mind. Oh, am I going to be pistachio today? What the freak? I know I was a male yesterday, Bill, but I'm going to change myself to some rainbow sherbet.
Okay, you go right ahead and do that.
I'm going to be rainbow sherbet today.
And don't worry, you'll be protected. If anybody says you're not
Oh,
rainbow
yeah.
sherbet,
So, Yeah, somebody takes a lick of my rainbow sugar. I'm telling Obama. uh, uh, and people, please just pick a flavor. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know how they're. All right. I mean, if somebody, all right, I get, you got male, you female. All right. If somebody wants to be a gay male, I understand that. You want to be gay female. All right. Okay. If somebody wants to be transgender, okay, let them be transgender. But some of this, you can't be fucking just, I'm one thing one day and then the next day or where they're letting 7-year-olds pick this shit out.
Oh
A
my
7-year-old,
God.
a 7-year-old doesn't even know how. What is he just learning how to tie his shoes or some shit?
I've
And you
seen
want him
some.
to,
Yeah,
and you want him to choose a freaking gender?
I've
What the
seen some.
hell?
Oh, I've seen some
Dude,
bad
switch it.
stories.
What the freak?
I've seen some bad stories, and I think one of the worst ones I've seen was a 5-year-old boy whose parents had definitely, at 5 years old, there's no way the kid would know this. And their 5-year-old just knows that he was born in the wrong body and he is a girl, even though he's a he.
I'm sorry, but man, if that was my child. I'm taking him. You go to the woods. Here's an axe. Here's some matches. All right, and I'll come looking for you in a week, and you let me know what gender you are then. I have a feeling when I come back in that woods, he's going to choose being a man.
But you can't blame a 5-year-old. You
Yeah.
have to look at the environment he's in and
Yeah.
say, get that 5-year-old out of that environment because that mother and father or mother, whichever, or father, because I'm not going to be discriminatory here, okay? It doesn't matter. The environment he's growing up in at 5 years old, if that little boy tells you, God made a mistake and I know I'm a girl and he made a mistake and put me in a boy's body, get that kid out of that house because the parents are abusing him.
Yeah, they're abusing them. If they're allowing a child to switch, you know what the worst thing is? Now they're even letting these young children get hormone treatments and gender reassignment surgeries. That's bullcrap. You can't let, you can't, no. Who the hell would allow this to go on? That's child abuse. Oh
Yeah.
my God. And you know what the worst? There's another thing. Nowadays, if I saw a child actually being abused, I'd be scared to actually call because we know what goes on with these goddamn child protective services nowadays. You don't know if you do call thinking you're doing the right thing, that you might actually be putting them in worse danger. I mean, that's another part that we're in really scared society. What if you got a neighbor or something and they're beating their children to the point where they're crying to the point of bloody death, and you want to do something about it? You almost have to do it. Go over there and maybe hit the parent with a shovel or something, because if you call Child Protective Service and they take the kid, you might actually be putting that kid more in jeopardy. That's just another scary thing. That
Well,
scares the hell out of me.
it does. And a lot of people don't realize, UNESCO's behind a lot of this. UNESCO pushes it directly down into the school system. UNESCO is responsible for elementary schools in certain states that have taught children that there's nothing wrong with being gay, and it's all right for Tommy to be with Billy, and it's all right for Peggy to be with Sue. And now they've stepped it up to sexual education of children, and they want to teach a 5-year-old how to masturbate.
Yeah,
That's
that's
no
sick.
lie. They want to put this in the schools and teach this to their children, and UNESCO is behind it. And the schools
Wait,
follow suit and do what they're told.
well, UNESCO. That's the first president of UNESCO. Like I was talking early, that was a Huxley, one of the Huxleys, the eugenics program, the MK Ultra program. Now, a little girl made a comment that she said her kids swear that they are a turtle. All right, that's one of the gingers I'm completely okay with. If your 5-year-old says they want to be that they're a turtle, you know what? That's fine. They can be a turtle. They can be a snake. They can be a rabbit.
They
But they
might
can't
be.
be. But they can't be 31 flavors of some gender. If they want to be a turtle, let the 5-year-old be a turtle.
Damn right.
So
It could be a
you know
ninja
what? If
turtle.
your kid says that they're a turtle, you know what? I would be happy. You know, because you know that you know what? Nothing wrong with being a turtle. Turtles are cool. You know, let them be a turtle. Let them be a dog. Let them be
I
let them
remember,
be a little squirrel. Let them be
yes, yes.
whatever. But
I
I
remember,
think I think that's perfectly fine.
I remember my son coming by me outside when I was sitting in a chair and he was outside playing, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Shh," holds his finger to his mouth, telling me to be quiet. And he says to me, he says, "I'm hunting rabbit." I about
That's
fell
fine.
out of my chair laughing when he said that, and
Yeah.
he run off. And I was like, "Oh my
Huh.
God, he's hunting a rabbit. He's Elmer Fudd."
Well, that's what little kids are supposed to do. You know, I
Well,
mean, if they want to play and be a rabbit or a ghost or a vampire or a pterodactyl or a dragon, that's normal kid thinking. So, little squirrel, I think you're probably fine. Your kids are probably normal. You probably did the right thing with them because that's normal behavior for a kid.
it
You
is.
know, hey, look at me, I'm a plane. Zoom. That's fine. But when they start trying, when they come out, when the 5-year-olds, saying, "Oh, Johnny at school is now Jill." Well, I want to be a Jill too, so I'm going to put on makeup and be a Jill too. Well, there's a problem. If the kid wants to dress as a pterodactyl or a turtle to school, let him. Nowadays, that's the least of your worries.
Oh yeah, exactly. I wouldn't worry about that at all. I'd call that absolute normal behavior. You know, there's just a there's just a lot of sick stuff that's going on, and your children are falling victims of this because you
Yeah.
got your children in a public school because there's no way in heck you could afford a private school, and that's not of your fault. But boy, you have to really be wary about what your kids are learning in that school because your government and UNESCO is very involved in their education.
Yeah, and you know what? It was we need to bring back those times and give the kids some space so that they can be a turtle or a pterodactyl or a train or a plane or whatever they want to be. Where they can go play in the backyard and use their imagination, use their creativity to enjoy life. Instead of being set down in front of these programming devices, whether they're PS2, Nintendo, or whatever the heck, and be programmed by these people, because we know the government develops a lot of these they give the grants for these video games. What happened to those days when we're gonna have? I remember when I was the stupidest thing that my mom used to get so mad at us for doing. We used to have rock fights. We had a stone driveway at my house, and I don't know why we had rock fights, but there's like we choose sides. There's usually like 3 or 4 of us, and 2 of us on one side and the other side, and we weren't allowed to go past a certain tree or whatever. Then we'd throw rocks at each other, which is probably the dumbest thing. I remember getting a couple cuts and whatnot, but I'm almost at the point where I say, you know what, let the kids have rock fights. They're playing outside. It's probably dumb that they're throwing rocks at each other, and we were pretty dumb sitting there throwing rocks at each other. But that's part of growing up. Find out you're doing something dumb by throwing a rock at each other. you know, it's I can't believe we used to have rock fights, Bill. I'm an idiot.
Well, I remember. Now, catch this. I was a young adult. We bought firecrackers.
Yeah, I remember the
We
fireworks fight.
broke them up, and we had a firecracker war between like 6 of us. We were lighting them and throwing them at each other. I remember running to duck one and fucking one was coming right at me. I saw it. I cuffed my face in case it went off, and I cuffed that thing right in between my hands and my face.
Now, when you were a kid, did you have the BB gun fights? When you had the single action BB guns, and you put jeans on and the jean jacket on, and then have BB gun fights. Or am I the
No,
only idiot that got involved in that?
no, I didn't do that. I was busy.
You didn't get the.
I actually had a couple real guns. I had a 22 long rifle,
Yeah,
and I had a 410 shotgun rifle. And
yeah.
I just used to take the dang 410 shells and cut the end off and pour the lead out, and I'd put it back in the gun, and I'd get sarcastic and blah blah blah. And one day I was, and I'd pull the trigger because bow, it goes off, but there ain't no blood in it, so it's not gonna hurt nobody. I used it the one day, and this kid was getting smart with me, and I told him I'd shoot him. It ain't even loaded, and I fucked the thing up, and he saw the shell in there. And he said, "Well, you couldn't get me in there." And he ran out of the room, and I shot him, and he had white powder on the back of his jacket. I did some crazy stuff like that when I was a kid. I had a
Yeah.
bullwhip, and I used to practice with the bullwhip. I could make it snap.
Oh yeah. Those are easy. They're not as easy as people think. I've tried that before.
I practiced for hours at that thing. I got so good when I was a kid with that thing. I could bring it up, and you'd feel the breeze off the end of your nose as it snapped and never touch you with it.
Yeah. I remember. So I mean, some of the stupid things. As a kid, I remember the ninja stars, and we used to throw them into the wall. That used to get us in a lot of trouble. And the nunchucks. The nunchucks, I always thought were cool, but for some reason, I was always hitting myself with them.
I was never good with them. I was like you. I got nunchucks and tried with it, and I kept cold cocking myself. So I said, "This is not for me."
Those were fun, though.
I mean, I
you
think
know,
we all done crazy stuff when we were kids, and some people a little more crazier than others.
yeah,
When they say we're crazy, I think everybody's crazy in their own way.
yeah. Well, I mean,
But
that's how you learn. That's part of being a kid and learning. I mean, you can't throw the nunchucks up in the air and expect to not be hit. I mean, but kids need to learn things like that. Sometimes a kid needs to, get a bruised eye or a broken thumb or something like that growing up. That's it's part of learning. It's part of and part of living.
I think the
You
worst
know.
thing I did was just an adult to my own child. Every kid grows up and their parent has that Santa Claus thing going on with their little kids. And so with my son, I got wise and I was online and I ordered this certificate from Santa Claus and it came in the mail in my son's name and I gave it to him. He was so proud he was on Santa Claus's good behavior list, right? So I did it a second year in a row and he wrote a letter to Santa Claus and he had it in the envelope and he come out and I'm getting ready to go to work and he says, "Dad, you need to take me to the post office." I says, "What for?" He says, "I need to mail this letter to Santa Claus." And he had it all wrote out. And I says to him, "Well, you don't know his address." And he says, "Yes, I do, North Pole." I started laughing, right? And I says, "Well, I'll tell you what, give it to me and I'll mail it on the way to work." So he gave it to me. It's still in my briefcase to this day. So I ended up ordering him another certificate of good behavior from Santa Claus that was mailed in the mail. 2 years in a row I did that. I got it all right now. I saved it all. But then he gets to be about 11 years old and he still believes in Santa Claus. Now I don't want him to be made fun of at school, okay? So I had to break the news to him that there was no Santa Claus. His dad scammed him, right? So now my foot's hanging out of my mouth as I'm explaining to my kid how there ain't no Santa Claus, okay? And he looks at me seriously and says, "Well, I knew that, Dad," and walked away. Okay? And I thought, okay. And about 3 hours later, he comes back and says, "Dad, is there really no such thing as Santa Claus?" Then I felt, man, I'm glad I told him the truth. Man, and sometimes I think that's a bad thing to do to your children.
Yeah. I was always the truther. I got in trouble. I remember my oldest cousin Wally almost freaking he was like six something. He almost beating my butt because I told all the cousins there's no such thing as Santa Claus when we were little. I still remember that day. We were at my aunt's house, and I remember I told all the cousins, everyone, that Santa Claus was fake, and I got in some serious trouble for that. But what are you gonna do? You know, but there's nothing wrong. That's what I was talking about in my video today. It's tough when we wake up. We learn so much about our history. We learn so much about religion, and I've seen a lot of people post on Facebook or whatnot. All just like it was last Easter, the pagan beliefs. It's Easter's all pagan. It's this and that. All this stuff about religion, everything else, and Christmas, and the pagan stuff, and all this and that.
Yep.
but with UNESCO and the way they steal traditions and try and implement different lifestyle changes and everything else, I think certain tradition is important. So whether you believe in the religious part of Christmas, or or how you celebrate it, I actually think it's kind of important to celebrate old traditions in America, because some of those old traditions, even if they're all bullshit, the history of them or whatnot, that is a way we can fight back, because they're going to want to change our traditions. They don't want traditional America around anymore. They want to they want to change and unite the world, this and that. And uniting the world doesn't mean that some people can celebrate Christmas in one house and some people don't have to in the next house over. But traditions are going to help protect us as keeping the family unit together. Teaching our children things. When you're a kid, teaching your child, what side the plate the fork and which side of the plate the knife does. Certain things. Making the kids set the table for Christmas dinner, or whatever it may be, whatever the tradition is. Maybe we need to go further and bring back some of the traditions from our grandparents and great grandparents, because this is a way of fighting back by keeping some of these traditions.
Well, this
You
person
know,
here saw it there and says, Ron, that's how brave you both are. I don't really look at it as being brave.
nah,
I
we
look at
might be
it,
just stupid. We're fighting these people.
I mean, I personally don't look at it as being brave. I look at it from my heart. I care.
Yeah, I can.
And that's where I
I,
see it from. And as far as being scared now,
uh,
I'm already to the point in my life where I don't care if they kill me. I really don't.
yeah.
I have
What's
no
more
fear of death. What are they going to do? Kill me? My answer is, so what? Go ahead.
what's scarier, not doing anything and letting what they're doing happen? And to me, that's scarier than not doing anything. By allowing what they're doing to continue is got to me is the scariest thing in the world. I'm scared. What I would be scared of is not doing anything. I've thought about it so many times. It's so easy to say,
Yeah.
if I just don't get them, well, even with my family, my whole life would be so much easier. It'd be more profitable for me to just quit.
Well, that's
But you
why
want to
I
know?
get offended
There's
when,
no way
yeah.
in hell I'm going to. No way in hell I'm going
Yeah.
to, because I look at it and, like, I don't think I can sleep with myself with if I care about these issues and not do anything. To me, that's scary. Is doing nothing.
Well, that's it. To me, and that's one of the things that actually offends me when I hear people say, "What can I do about it? I can't do anything about it." So you've already programmed yourself to do absolutely nothing, huh? That's what I say to them, because they don't understand that as long as you say, "I can't do nothing about it," you've pulled out your programming, you've pulled out your first cop out to never do nothing.
Well, the big mistake I think right there is thinking that because you don't have anything in your head that you can think of doing that will change anything is the mistake.
Yep.
Because once you tell yourself that there's nothing I can do, and you know what, you may even be right. There may actually not be anything you could do or I can do. But if we all tell ourselves this, nothing will ever change. Nothing will ever happen. As long as we continue to tell ourselves we can't do anything, or there's something I can't do, nothing will ever get done. So maybe one of the best things you could do is just say, you know what, I could do something. You might not have an idea. You might not have an idea of something you could do for a year or 2 years. But if you tell yourself, hey, I know there's something I could do, it's going to come to me, and I'm going to do it. I just waiting for it to come, and I know there's going to be something I can't do. That's all you got to do. So instead of just saying, nothing I can do, or I don't know what I can do, say, I know there's something I could do. I just know there is, and it's going to come. And every time that's what I was trying to explain is when I think about it is, it's just like of not doing anything is thinking of not doing anything. That would drive me insane. So even though I understand there's a good chance there's anything I ever do will ever change anything, but I want to at least know I at least tried.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters. You don't, even if nothing ever comes from you saying, "Oh, I know there's something I could do," you at least made that right step because you keep on saying there is something I could do, and that might rub off on somebody else or whatever.
You try your
But
best, you know.
you know,
You try your best. Jerry went out in public and he spoke out. Okay? He passed out flyers and he got right there in people's face and he was polite. He was kind to them and he said what was on his heart and on his mind and what the truth was. I have done this in many occasions, but not in a protest, but just in real life. In a grocery store, in a pharmacy, on a beach. And I got a bad habit of doing it all the time because it's who I am. And I really care and I want things to change. And, and I've been called names, made fun of. I had a couple of people just laughing. One guy says, he's a conspiracy theorist. And I heard him say it, and I'm just like, yep, you're an idiot.
and you don't have to talk about conspiracies. I mean, things are self-evident that are, just wrong with this world. You know, there are bad things that are happening. If you went out there and said, "Aren't you sick of the Democrats lying, and aren't you sick about the Republican lying?" People can hear that. That's not a conspiracy. People out there know they're being lied to, whether they're right wing or left wing. They know they're being lied to. It does. You don't have to bring up a particular issue that may be a conspiracy or anything. Just sometimes the step is to first take to get yourself comfortable with, thinking or deciding to pursue something that may help or change. You know, I knew that I wasn't going to change what happened in San Diego. That all of a sudden I go down there and they're just going to all of a sudden, oh yeah, we admit it now. No, no, I knew that, but I know I had to start something. People need to see that we got to get out there because we're not going to change the world on the internet. It's only going to work in the public.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
know, and not only that is, people are more willing to listen to you, when you are in public, and it gives other people a sense of bravery that if they can do it, maybe I can do it. It's that's we need to take these steps.
Oh, and
So
you discover that the
even if it's a
people
small step,
online, yeah,
just make a step.
and you discover the majority of the people online that talk all big, tough, and badass brave, you confront them in real life on these topics.
They turn right away.
That's right.
Yeah,
You find out that they actually wasn't as big and brave as their mouth was because
they never are.
that's right. They're hiding behind a keyboard. When you get somebody that won't put their real picture up there, their real name, won't do a video, and has to use a fictitious name and never come up, let the public see their face, and always is hiding themselves. I mean, I'm sorry, to me, that's a coward.
Yeah, I think we're in society where there's a lot of cowards. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I know even what I went through could scare people if that happens to them or anything else. But people don't realize how much they can do in such subtle ways and even in little ways. Well, there's so many of us out there that even doing something little, and so many other people doing something little can add up, and it's very easily done. You know, I could even send you copies of like our flyers. I can email to you, just print it out, whatever. Maybe, once a week you go out and you only have one in your hand and you say, I'm going to leave it in a car window or I'm going to do something like that. Stuff like that can really make a impact because it's empowering the person that's doing it that they did something. And that flyer may never turn into changing anybody's mind or anything else, but you did something.
Yeah.
So There are so many simple ways you can do it where nobody even knows you did it. So you don't have to worry about ridicule, or you don't have to worry about somebody, calling you a conspiracy theorist, or whatever. There's so many things you can do where people won't even know. But if you took the action to actually do it, it's going to empower you that, you can make a change. It's going to empower you in your own life. I mean, and I don't want to sound like douchebag Tony Robbins, but I mean, there are things we have to reverse the programming we got, that we are just, you know, incapable of changing what's going on. We been programmed to be a dysfunctional society, and we have to, like, I think I've said in the past, if you want to change the way that we've been programming, next time you go in the store, you go out, you go out the indoor and in the outdoor, do little things that just change, your patterns that have been developed by society over a long period of time. We all think that we go to the store and we choose a certain shirt, or we do this or that because it's us that is choosing or making this choice. No, this is all into conditioning and social engineering and everything else that has built up to a point where that's what's creating your choice. So we need to deprogram ourselves from the programming, and I've always been a person who just, I don't mind saying no to people. I mean, it's hard for me to say, like, when kids ask me, oh, get a, this toy or that toy if they're my nephews or whatever. I have a problem saying no to them. But, you know, when somebody tells me to do something I don't think is right, I tell them to fuck off. And I got no problem telling them that. Because you know what, like my father used to tell me, I don't care whether you're a Rockefeller or whoever, you're the Queen of England, you still shit and sleep just like everybody else. You know, so everybody thinks there's something. These people are special or whatever else is out there. They're not special. They're lower life forms than we are. You got to remember that. These people that are involved in doing these things, and these elite people, these wealthy people that are involved in doing such horrible things in society, they've been programmed themselves to think less of the common person. But because the common person doesn't do these evil things, it makes us a higher form of life than them. They are the bottom feeders. People just don't realize it. They've been programmed to think that these are gods. I mean, the word God itself is is a word for king. Has nothing to do with Yahweh. That's a whole different word. So the elite, these royalty, everything else. When you talk about God, they look at you. Oh, they're praising me. That's why all the way down through the pharaohs, it's always, they were always considered the god or the god's son, which is the prince. All this bull crap they've been fed. So they believe they're a higher form of life when they're not, because they've done these evil things and been involved in tyranny and basic slavery to the common man. They're actually lower life forms than we are.
Oh, that's correct. They really are. They're actually the scum. They're the people that need stopped.
Yeah, it's not us that have to worry about being put in FEMA camps. It's them that need to worry about it. There's less of them than us. There's less of the elite. There's less of these evil people that are at the top that should be the ones that are worried. And they've slipped it around so we worry. Let's not worry anymore. They should be the ones that worry, because
Yeah.
there's more of us, and they did some bad things, and they need to worry.
They should worry when they find 90% of their military of all branches putting their guns down and just simply saying no, because they get their military from us, the people. They get their power from us, the people, and us, the people, can't turn that around if we
90
ever want
seconds.
to. And you got to tell yourself that you can, because you can do it. But it says you got to get everybody on the same page. We can't stay divided and fighting one another. Because as long as we fight one another and we just take the information and run with it, then you're going to do nothing. And we're not going to be able to get together to do anything. And Jerry said it's right. We have to leave the home. We have to get out from behind our computers.
60 seconds.
That's really where it comes from. We have to leave the homes and get out from behind our computers and get together. Jerry and I were talking about an idea of state to state, getting little communities set up of people that are awake that want to do something. But we're still working on that idea. But if we could get that off the ground, that would be a good start.
Mm. By the way, before this ends, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Sorry, Haley, you came in at the end of the show. But I'll be back here on Tuesday night, and we'll be back tomorrow night. We're taking Christmas off because the other person don't want to be here on
10
Christmas.
seconds.
So I'll be back on Tuesday night. Tuesday night, 9 o'clock. I'll be back with dating scene topics, and I'll be up here with Warren. But I'm going to go ahead and call it a show because we're at the end of the show.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.